One battle ends and another is coming up fast. Oda is not giving these Straw Hats a break anytime soon. Let's get to it. We open chapter 1070 on the fallen Sentomaru. Lucci is standing over him while Luffy is charging over to his fallen friend. Even with gear 5th up, Luffy looks worried, apologizing to Axe Guy for distracting him. Sentomaru weighs this off, however. He is still conscious and he won't make any excuses. He saw Lucci's attack coming. His defense simply wasn't good enough. For the proud warrior, the embarrassment might hurt worse than the blow. Even Rob Lucci has to extend Sentomaru some respect for still being conscious after an attack like that. His whole specialty is overwhelming offense. Someone remaining conscious after an attack from him is pretty impressive. Still, the Cypher Pole agent is blunt, snapping a Vegapunk's bodyguard to fall down already. As long as he is still conscious, Lucci's team won't be able to co-opt the Seraphim. They'll be locked into Sentomaru's last orders, which were to fight CP0. Merciless, the Leopard Man lunges at the sumo, claws out. He will end this more violently if he has to. Sentomaru raises a hand groggily, trying to protect himself. Thankfully, Battle Axe has an ally here now. Luffy hooks one stretchy leg around Lucci, twirling around before launching his foe away with a Gomu Gomu no booming white whip. The assassin flies through the air, defenseless against the rubbery god of freedom. CP0 are gobsmacked as their greatest warrior just vanishes into the distance like a blasted off Team Rocket, while Luffy is still spinning around. Chopper and Jinbei are still trying to leave the scene, with the First Son of the Sea calling to his captain. He has bought them time with that big attack. They have a chance to leave together. Why not take it? Unfortunately, Luffy can't stop spinning. The classic cartoon vibe of Gear 5th has turned against him with his Tasmanian Devil bit. Luffy just keeps twirling away from them, completely out of control, as the refugees keep running towards the factory. Thankfully, the Seraphim are still loyal to Egghead for the moment and are more than able to provide cover for their fleeing masters. As Hawk takes point, using his massive sword to carve a wide path through the luckless Cypher Pole grunts. As Shark is every bit as effective, however. The Jinbei replicant dives beneath the ground, brushing against the surface to drive waves through the agent's ranks, sending them every which way. Kaku and Stussy hold the rear, despairing at this turn of events. They're not supposed to damage the Seraphim. They are highly valuable weapons after all. Plus, they are about to be extremely hard to repair once they are done killing Vegapunks. But if they're going to complete their mission, they don't have an alternative. They're going to have to fight them, but destroying them is a mission failure. Stussy muses that it is more terrifying when you remember that these are just the child versions. How much more powerful will these Seraphim be once they reach adulthood? Back in the Lab Stratum control room, Frankie is despairing. He points out the Jinbei Seraphim's power set. It is obviously the Sui Sui no Mi, Senor Pink's ability. Naturally, Frankie is more than a little upset by this. The only way a Devil Fruit is supposed to respawn is if the original wielder dies. He asks Vegapunk flat out if his sworn brother died off screen. Thankfully, Vegapunk confirms the baby man is fine, just locked up and impaled down. With that idea ironed out, the Straw Hats guess that Vegapunk must have copied his fruit. The old punk denies that too, stating that the only fruit he can copy directly are Zoans. Vegapunk takes a second to muse about the options with copying Devil Fruits. He notes that Caesar's method, the Smile Fruits, are completely unacceptable. Nami agrees with him, muttering that the clown could die many times for his past misdeeds and it wouldn't be enough for her. But it's unclear if Vegapunk is objecting to the byproducts of Caesar's work or just the visual imperfections. This man considered a mythical Zoan a failure from being pink. His standards are high. Regardless, Vegapunk continues musing about those self-same fruits. He's sure that he can develop even mythical Zoans with enough time and money. After all, he managed to basically replicate Kaido's fruit. Still, he is unconvinced as to whether the copy could be awakened. If they could, however, that would open the floodgates for some crazy things. Imagine Nami, Zoro, and Sanji all with the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. The old punk sighs, thinking back to his efforts with the most stressful fruit of all, Logias. He tried to duplicate them, but they proved the most troublesome. Curious. We have seen regular pacifistas use laser beams. Are those not duplicates from Kizaru's fruit? Then again, we know that Frankie duplicated the technology, so that's sort of a given. However, he has found a way out for Paramecia fruits. With the original user's lineage factor, he can create a blood additive that grants a copy of the original user's Devil Fruit powers. We get a brief cut to S-Snake seeing the liquid flowing through her arm. Vegapunk proudly declares that he has called this new blood Green Blood. A little uncreative, but hey, what else was he going to call it? and the angelic Hancock duplicate shows off her granted power for us in short order. Using her big sister's trademark heart pose, she lets fly with a perfect mero. The Cypherpole agents are turned to stone in an instant, which raises an interesting question. Since the green blood is taken from the lineage factor of Boa Hancock, would this allow S-Snake to revive people her counterpart turned to stone? It would provide a loophole to escape the dilemma Hancock used to force Teach into a stalemate back on Amazon Lily. Also, based on previous comments by Oda, I'd like to assume these CP agents were turned to stone on account of the Seraphim being adorable, as opposed to anything weird. S-Bear follows her blow up with an Ursa's shock, causing the ground and nearby buildings to crumble around the CP0 armsmen. It is clear at this point that there is no loss of power via this green blood method. If it can duplicate Awakening, well, watch out for S-Flamingo, that's all I'm saying. That little guy would be a handful. Vegapunk is impressed with all of them. You saying that the Seraphim may go down in history as the most powerful creatures the seas have ever seen. He doesn't seem happy about that fact, however, and the Straw Hats certainly aren't over the moon at this. Nami notes glumly that this explains why the royal government abolished the warlord system. They've got new, powerful clones of the rebellious originals, ones programmed to perfectly obey orders. And they're cuter. They can sell so much more merch of these new warlords. Usopp is already terrified of the level of power Vegapunk has unleashed with this project. The one weakness the warlords ever really had were their egos with various personalities, which limited their ability to cooperate. Imagine Marineford if all the warlords had stayed focused and perfectly loyal to the world government. Things would have gone very differently. Sanji and Robin are more ready to deal with the threat, noting that these creatures are powerful navy weapons. And to get a continued taste of their power, we cut back to the battle below. Explosions are going off while a few loyal assistants try to call on Sentomaru. He has to withdraw. This is his last chance to get out of there before CP0 takes him down. Even if it leaves the Seraphim under Cypherpole's control, he has to save himself. But before the Sumo Man can answer, Rob Lucci pulls himself out of a Cheetah Man-shaped hole in the wall, working out a crick in his neck. He's not going to give the bodyguard an offer of peaceful withdrawal. He grins at the fallen Sentomaru through pointed teeth before launching himself forward with Soru, blurring as he goes almost too fast to see. Sentomaru raises a hand, one last futile gesture. You don't mess with a Rokushiki master like Lucci, unless you're a ridiculously powerful mythical Zoan user, of course. Before Lucci's blow can connect, Luffy's gigantic head emerges from the ground, laughing at the charging kitty cat. It's like an entire building materialized out of nowhere. Just look at that massive gaping black maw. Straw Hat's gone full Kirby now. Behold, Luffy's very own mouthful mode. Even Lucci's surprised at that, calling out Straw Hat as he does a double take. He's sharp enough to back away before he's eaten, zooming away with his Soru granted speed. Luffy chomps down on some of the rubble around the ring, chewing briefly before spitting out a barrage of rocks at the big cat. Lucci punches the rubble undeterred, but has bought Luffy time to set up something new. He's jumped up towards one of the glass tubes that run above Egghead Island, bending it back like a rubber band. The God of Freedom takes a second to materialize a set of cool goggles to celebrate the moment, before pulling his makeshift slingshot back as far as it can go and calling out his new attack's name, Gomu Gomu no Booming White Rocket. He launches himself at Lucci, pushing a spear of force right through the Cheetah Man's gut. If it weren't for the cartoon physics of Gear 5th, Luffy would have gone full Temple of Doom here. Lucci staggers, bellowed away by his foe's incredible power. Luffy's just busting a gut at this, ecstatic at his big hit coming off that cool. He has so much fun with Gear 5th, somersaulting through the air as Lucci is pushed into another explosive building. Rob muses that he is on the verge of losing consciousness, barely able to hold on. While that sure sounds like Luffy has this fight in the bag, eagle-eyed fans might peg this as a bad omen for the Straw Hat captain. Lucci had the same reaction to Luffy's first Gear 3rd attack during their fight on Enies Lobby, almost word for word. Given how much longer Lucci was able to endure after that point, Luffy might have some trouble finally taking out the big cat. For now though, we cut away to S-Snake, who has finally gotten Jinbei and Chopper towards the vacuum rocket. Even with Jinbei having to haul the gargantuan Punk Atlas with them, the trio has made excellent time. Seraphim Hancock pointed out to them, ordering the pair to get aboard already. Jinbei thanks her for the help, calling S-Snake an extremely kind version of the woman he knows. The young Hancock stammers that she is just following orders, blushing red and showing herself just as tsundere as the original. It's the first time we've seen some real signs of sentience from the Seraphim. Are they more than robots? Or is this just an echo of Hancock somehow preserved by the green blood? If they have gratitude towards Vegapunk, that might help them shake off the effects of Lucci's command chip. Either way, an announcement blares over Egghead's PA system. T-1 minute to take off. Please refrain from trying to board last minute. Chopper calls Luffy to hurry up and join them. They are almost out of time to escape this fight. Straw Hat holds back, conflicted. Even Gear 5th can't hide that frown. Lucci's still standing, and he can't get Sentomaru out of there in time. Luffy would have to leave an ally behind if he left now. The very idea of this sits badly with the captain. Sentomaru summons a last of his strength and yells up that he is trusting Luffy with Grandpa Punk. It's Straw Hat's job to get him off of the island, right? He can't do that if he's busy fighting Cypher Pole down here. Getting his grin back, Luffy confirms as much. He will get Vegapunk safely away from Egghead no matter what. He will honor Sentomaru's wishes above anything else. In no time, Straw Hat had joined the others in the rocket capsule, ready to blast off. Bonney's awake now, strapped into one of the front seats and yelling about what happened to Vegapunk and Luffy. The Straw Hat captain, sitting beside her, isn't looking so good. Now that he's lost Gear 5th, he has turned into a wrinkled old man, with his tongue hanging out. It's a pretty good Vegapunk impression actually. Is this some kind of drawback to using Gear 5th? We've seen similar issues after Gear 3rd and Gear 4th wore off, with Luffy being limited for a time afterwards. We didn't witness what happened right after the Kaido fight back in Wano, and Chopper doesn't seem surprised at this. Perhaps this happened then too, and we just didn't see it. In less than a minute, the Straw Hats soared through the twisting vacuum tubes and arrived at the Lab Stratum. The announcer cheerily informs the pirates that all subsequent trips have been suspended. The Frontier Dome has been fortified, ready to repel all possible attacks. However, infiltrators may have slipped through. Everyone should be on high alert. We see a band of Egghead personnel already working to barricade the factory shelters. They are ready for a siege at this point. Below, the dust of battle is clearing. Kaku was chosen to get a little sentimental. The Giraffe Man can't deny the dedication Sentomaru showed to his job. Vegapunk really couldn't have asked for a better bodyguard. For now though, Cypher Pole is left wondering what to do next. Stussy notes that they have orders now. They're supposed to wait for the Marines to arrive with reinforcements. Lucci isn't willing to listen however. If CP0 just bunkers down on the factory layer, the Straw Hats will get away. And yeah, he's entirely right. We've seen how they could too. The Vega Force 1 could fly down to the sea level easily, and it is still carrying the Thousand Sunny. The Straw Hats have an extremely easy way to escape the island right now, unless CP0 can think of something drastic. They need to work out a way to contain the Vegapunks in Lab Stratum, and fast. Up in the lab, Usopp is struggling to parse everything that has happened. The world government seriously wants Vegapunk dead. They're going all out to take him down. But isn't that a major waste? He's a super smart scientific genius. Why kill someone who can make all this sci-fi technology for you? Vegapunk counters that it makes sense if you turn it around a bit. Would you be comfortable with someone being able to do all this stuff if you thought he could turn against you? Even though he never intended to fight the world government, he can understand their paranoia. And surprisingly, so can Nami. She notes rather calmly that it makes sense to take out a potential liability. Usopp is a little shocked at how cold-blooded their navigator can get when talking about the potential assassination of a friendly-looking old man. Vegapunk knows that this is an extremely serendipitous turn of fate for him. Luffy and the Straw Hats have arrived exactly when he needs them. The Straw Hats all start reacting to this, finally registering the idea that Vegapunk might end up accompanying them. Usopp is pretty hyped about this prospect. He's down with this old man and all his cool science. Frankie is effervescent about the chance to travel alongside his idol, already planning to show off the Frankie Shogun and all the enhancements he has made to the Sunny. It's a dream come true for the cyborg. Nami's a bit more skeptical, remarking on the heavy cargo of that oversized cranium, while Sanji just wants his foot cuffs finally undone. Can't really fault him for that. With enemies closing in, they don't want to be stuck like this. Elsewhere in the Lab Stratum, Luffy and friends have finally disembarked. Luffy seems back to normal and is wowed by how cool the Cloud Island looks now that he is walking around it. Jinbei has handed Punk Atlas off to the island staff for medical attention and mechanical attention, what with her being a cyborg and everything. Meanwhile, Chopper is following an irate Bonney, asking her where she is going. The Sorbet Princess doesn't mince words. She's already heading off to try and find Vegapunk. All this stuff with CP0 and the island under siege changes nothing for her. She wants the old man to turn her father back to normal. If he refuses, she'll kill him herself. She's in no mood for shenanigans or excuses. Back on the factory layer, CP0 has consolidated their forces. The agents are standing, ready for battle, and are securing all the exits from the lab they can find. Lucci even found a new suit. More importantly, with Sentomaru down, all 4 Seraphim are now under their control. While the Vegapunks outrank CP0 in the command hierarchy, for now, they've got 4 of the most powerful creatures in the world under their command. Kaku notes that the defense system will be tough to get through, but Lucci is undeterred. He's taking this personally now, and is resolved not to let a single one of those piratical rats scurry off this sinking ship of an island. The Straw Hats are responsible for his one defeat. No surprise he wants him to go down with Vegapunk. However, the more dangerous foe has yet to arrive. We cut to a marine ship in nearby waters, where an old man hears a report via Denden Mushi. Oh my, so the Straw Hat crew has allied itself with Vegapunk. On paper, that should make for a straightforward escape. But boy are they in for a surprise that they think it'll be easy. We'll proceed as planned. Get as many warships as possible to Egghead. Yes, that confirms it. Admiral Kizaru is making good time for once. It won't be long until he arrives at Egghead. And if you thought Cypher Pole was exceedingly destructive, well, the Admiral may be even worse. Kizaru's philosophy of lazy justice doesn't sound too intimidating, but he makes a point of not caring about the consequences of his actions. While Lucci's shown minimal restraint, you shouldn't expect the old man to think twice about how he fights. That would be effort. If he needs to take out Vegapunk, he'll take out Vegapunk. No matter what or who could end up in the way. And with all those warships en route, it sounds like he is basically launching an impromptu Buster Call on Egghead. This is going to get extremely messy. For the first time, the Straw Hat crew is going to have to fight an Admiral head-on to get out of this battle intact. Are they ready for this? Will Punk Atlas and her light-punching gloves help the Straw Hats against Kizaru? How will Lucci and CP0 make it up to the Lab Stratum? Leave us your answers in the comments below. As always, I'm Celestial Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.